Welcome to the Tee Off.
Spill that tea, sis.
This is how I like to start the show off. I like to spill some tea on our favorite athletes and some of the crazy situations they get themselves into. And today we got to talk about Nerlens Noel, former sixth pick in the NFL draft in 2013, former University of Kentucky Wildcat, played for the 76ers, the Mavericks, the Thunder, and now the Knicks. And Nerlens Noel is suing Rich Paul and Clutch Sports, claiming that he lost $58 million in potential salary while being represented by Rich Paul from 2017 to 2020. And if y'all don't already know, Rich Paul is that dude. He's a LeBron close friend and confidant. He is a super agent under Clutch Sports, representing the likes of LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Lonzo Ball, Trae Young, Draymond Green, John Wall, Ben Simmons, Anthony Edwards, and a lot more. So he clearly has a lot of the marquee superstar NBA talent on his roster. Now, before we get into all the nitty gritty details of this story, which trust me are good, we have to talk about the timing of this story. And the timing is very particular because just recently, Rich Paul filed a grievance with the NBA Player Association for $200,000 that he believes he is owed in agent fees for Nerlens Noel's last contract with the New York Knicks. Now, right after that happened, Nerlens Noel ends up filing this lawsuit. And I got into the actual text of this lawsuit because it was actually filed here in Dallas County because it was stemming from when he played for the Dallas Mavericks. So let's get into the biggest vantage point for this. Is you have to understand at the beginning of this story, Nerlens Noel is being represented by an agent named Happy Walters. And Happy Walters has secured the entire bag for Nerlens Noel's, getting him a 4-year, $70 million contract with the Dallas Mavericks. That's $17.5 million a year. Now, over that summer, Nerlens Noel hanging out with Ben Simmons at a Ben Simmons birthday party. Ben Simmons is also a Clutch client, as I mentioned, and he meets Rich Paul. Interestingly enough, free agent Nerlens Noel is sat right next to Rich Paul during Ben Simmons' birthday dinner party. And during this dinner party, he's talking to Rich. He lets him know about his 4-year, $70 million deal. And Rich Paul convinces him that he should turn down this 4-year, $70 million, all guaranteed, $17.5 million a year contract, and instead take a qualifying offer, which would be a 1-year contract for $4.1 million. And he says that this is the right decision because after he plays out that 1-year contract, he will be an unrestricted free agent, meaning that the Dallas Mavericks will no longer have the right of first refusal to any contract he signs. And he says that after that year, he will make Nerlens Noel $100 million man. And honestly, Rich Paul has to be one of the smoothest talking motherfuckers on the planet. Because after this dinner, Nerlens Noel fires his agent Happy Walters, hires Rich Paul, and then accepts that qualifying offer. Now, unfortunately, after accepting that qualifying offer, he breaks his thumb during the season, misses 42 of the 82 games during the season that year, and then ends up having to sign a minimum contract with OKC. 2-year deal. Opts out of the second year and ends up having to sign another minimum contract with OKC before then signing another contract with the New York Knicks. And to put this in perspective, from that 3 years, he had $8.7 million. 3.7 over the 2 years in OKC, 5 his 1 year in New York. Over those 3 years, he turned down $17.5 million a year, $70 million straight guaranteed. Now, a lot of people are seeing some comparisons to this situation with Dennis Schroeder, and I get it. Dennis reportedly turned down a 4-year, $84 million extension with the Lakers, believing he too was also a $100 million man. He bet on himself, performed poorly in the playoffs, and then the free agent market for him shrunk. And ended up having to sign a $5.9 million one-year deal with the Boston Celtics. He was ridiculed endlessly about it all over NBA Twitter and all NBA media, really. But what's the difference between these two situations? Because a lot of people have written off Nerlens Noel as just a Dennis Schroeder situation. You bet on yourself, you got injured, and now you want to complain about it. And this is actually where I think the most important part of this lawsuit comes up. Because he is saying that Rich Paul played him and didn't actually do his job. It's not just that like he turned down a deal that was probably in hindsight good. It was what happened after that. Now, he is saying in this lawsuit that Rich Paul violated his fiduciary duty. And that is a legalese term that I want to break down for everybody here. Fiduciary duty is basically the idea that you and your job is the fact that you have to work in your client's best financial interest. And this can be broken down in 3 different forms of duty. There's the duty of care, which is just the attention that you pay to your client's deals, etc. There's the duty of loyalty, in which you are supposed to be working for your client, not different clients, and having that manipulate your client's deal or different parties, actors, etc. And the last is duty of obedience, which is just like you do what Nerlens Noel tells you to do at the end of the day. And Nerlens Noel is really saying that he violated those first 2 duties, care and loyalty. So Nerlens Noel is claiming that Rich Paul didn't even try to do his job the season after he got injured because he was no longer the $100 million man that Rich Paul was interested in. His lawsuit claims, and I will quote this, in 2018 free agency, Paul nor anyone at Clutch Sports presented any real proposals to Noel in terms of strategies or ideas on how Noel might secure a long-term contract or even a significant contract. So he signs that minimum deal with OKC. He says that he was recruited by Paul George and Russell Westbrook, and Paul basically didn't do anything. Then 2019 free agency comes around. He says the same thing happens. So he re-signs again with OKC. Now, here is the death nail for me. Because if he can prove this part, Rich Paul is fucked, and he should be. Now, Noel says that Brett Brown, former 76ers coach, said that the 76ers tried to contact Rich Paul and Clutch Sports about Nerlens Noel, and that Paul did not take and or return any of their calls about Noel. He says he learned the same thing from multiple other teams, such as the Houston Rockets and the LA Clippers. He says Paul also did zero work on his New York Knicks contract that he is asking for the $200,000 from, and that deal was done by Leon Rose, and all Paul did was sign it. So this is huge because I've seen a lot of people taking the Rich Paul side on this, which is easy to do when you're making waves like Rich Paul is and all the great clients Rich Paul has. It's even easier to do when people are making the jokes like, oh, did Rich Paul manipulate the West so Nerlens Noel couldn't be a threat to LeBron? Like, obviously, LeBron's not scared of Nerlens Noel. Come on. But this is really more important because it requires no conspiracy theory to think Rich Paul has done something incredibly wrong. Just that, like, you have so many other clients a priority. I showed you that list of people. Trae Young, Ben Simmons, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, like John Wall, Draymond Green, so many other higher profile clients, way more money clients, way more commission clients that Nerlens Noel gets put on the back burner. And while it's okay that Nerlens Noel might not get Rich Paul's personal touch, he definitely has to get the touch of someone at Clutch Sports, period. That is their fiduciary duty. So if people are making calls trying to give Nerlens Noel a contract, and I can almost guarantee you it's not 4 years, $70 million, but shit, if they're talking 3 for 30, that's huge for him. That's more money than he's made over those 3 years that he was represented by Clutch. That is massive. If that's true, Paul is dead in the wrong. What he's done is absolutely unacceptable. He's violated the very tenets of being someone's agent. He should probably have to pay Nerlens Noel all that money and some punitive damages. And it's going to be a really big black stain on Clutch Sports, which this is not a unfamiliar complaint for Clutch clients, which is something that's specifically referenced in Nerlens Noel's lawsuit. So it's just interesting to me how that works, because there's a lot of BS surrounding Rich Paul. A lot of criticisms of Rich Paul, I believe, to be completely BS. They're like, he can't be impartial because of LeBron. He's funneling clients to the Lakers for LeBron, such as like Anthony Davis. That he shouldn't be able to do what he does because he lacks a traditional education. And all of these criticisms, generally to me, I feel are quite terrible, usually function within a lot of coded language that I find troubling. But if this particular complaint is true, this is a huge hit to Rich Paul's credibility. Bad advice for turning down the $70 million is one thing. A lot of agents give bad advice. That is not an uncommon thing for anybody with an agent to say. Now, not answering calls, that is huge. Nerlens all else, as I'm going to call him here, could be absolutely cheeks at the game of basketball. And he would be completely entitled to every penny that he is suing Rich Paul for if they are simply not taking and returning the calls for teams interested in him, because that is the very job that they are supposed to do. Now, after that first season with the Knicks, he terminated his relationship with Clutch Sports, got a new agent, has recently signed a 3-year deal with $27.7 million of it that's guaranteed, another $4 million of incentives on top of that. So that's basically the 3 for 30 language that I was talking about earlier with a different agent. But that was your tee off.
Ooh, spill that tea, sis. Spill that tea, sis.